Hello, you wonderful people. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're all having a great day. Today I'm going to take you on a Google Street View tour through Baltimore in the state of Maryland, USA. With a population of about 600,000 and a metropolitan area of about 2.8 million, Baltimore is quite a big city. And as you can see, Baltimore is a very nice place. Oh wait, let me rephrase that. As you can see, some parts of Baltimore look very nice. It's the fancy apartments that are very convenient for those who can afford it. It's the harbor with the restaurants and the yachts and other beautiful vessels. And it's the modern skyline with glass and steel towers. In other words, it's the parts of Baltimore that the authorities want you to see, because then it looks like everything's fine in Baltimore. But that's not the part of Baltimore that we're going to visit today. Today we're going to leave the harbor and the downtown area, and it doesn't really matter if we go to the north or the south or the west or the east, because right outside of the downtown area we end up in places like these. Oh boy, this is not going to be a very nice video. Now, what are we looking at here? Well, it's the huge layer of residential neighborhoods that surround central Baltimore. Most of these houses have been built in the early 20th century and the late 19th century. It was a time when they still knew how to build houses. So as you can see, these houses once were beautiful and glorious. It must have been a real privilege to have your residence in neighborhoods like these. But somewhere along the line, things went wrong in Baltimore. Like so many other industrial cities in the United States of America, Baltimore could not properly compete with countries like Japan, South Korea and China, who flooded the global market with cheap labor and cheap products. So many factories in the Baltimore area had to close down, laying off thousands of workers who then fell victim to deep poverty that would be passed on to the next generation. The result was that these people no longer could pay their rent, and they had to abandon their homes by the thousands, leading to what you're watching right now. Now, of course, not the entirety of Baltimore looks like this, but I've explored Baltimore in Google Street View for only 2 hours. I jumped from neighborhood to neighborhood, and during those 2 hours, I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of abandoned, collapsed and burned down houses. It's not in one particular area. I saw this deep and disturbing urban decline in many places all over the city. Let me give you a better picture of the scale of the decline of Baltimore, because in theory I could have just carefully selected a few houses, show them from a few different angles, and voila, Baltimore looks like crap. No, it's not like that. Just have a look at the names of the streets in the upper left corner of the screen. As you can see, I took images from many different streets, and it's not just a few individual houses. Quite often, entire streets are totally abandoned. For example, this street. There are about 50 houses within sight, and I think there are maybe 2 or 3 that are still inhabited. Imagine how it would feel if you're one of those people who's still living here. Would you feel safe at night? Another example that can give you a better idea of the scale of the decline in Baltimore is this area. It looks like a large-scale social housing project consisting of hundreds, maybe even 1,000 apartments located in several city blocks. And all of them, I repeat, all of them are abandoned. No matter what street I turn in, all the buildings were boarded up and empty. Nobody lives here. What a sad situation. And it's not just houses that are abandoned. Many of the closed-down factories and commercial buildings are rotting away in Baltimore. Look at this. This once was kind of an industrial building. It has collapsed and burned down. What city wants this to stay like this? It looks awful. Wouldn't it be much better and safer for the city to tear this building down? Hey, what's that? Is that some kind of a twin from a parallel universe? Oh no, it's just a glitch in the Google Street View camera. Look at this. This once must have been some kind of shopping street. I guess it was still in operation back in the day when shopping malls didn't exist yet. But look at it now. Every store in this street has been abandoned, and not just recently. Judging by the state of the maintenance of these buildings, nobody touched them for decades. What's going on here? Why do authorities leave this as it is? Situations like these are simply unhealthy and dangerous for those who are still living in these places. Yes, some people use these abandoned buildings. They consider these buildings to be an opportunity for them to use their substance without being in plain sight. Others stash stolen or illegal items in these abandoned buildings. Some others use these abandoned buildings as an illegal waste dump. And at the same time, kids go inside to play. To them, it's just a huge and exciting playground. Imagine the risks for their safety and their health. What are these guys doing? Oh my God! They're showing off stashes of cash, like the real gangsters. And another one with more cash. And that one, he's making a shooting gesture. And this guy seems to be giving the middle finger to the Google Street View camera. And that's the problem. Society gives them the middle finger, so this is what we get in return. What we've seen today in Baltimore are the signs of a very deep and structural divide that splits the American society in those who have and those who have not, those who were lucky and those who were not lucky, those who were born in the right family and those who were not born in the right family. And these divides go along urban lines. People flock together willingly or unwillingly in the same neighborhood as many others who are in a similar social economic position. There are the lucky ones at the waterfront, and there are the unlucky ones who are surrounded by abandoned houses, poverty, substance abuse, crime and violence. And that means that kids who grow up in these sorry neighborhoods often get to see bad examples that will make them think that these bad examples reflect what is normal. Chances are that many of these kids will follow those bad examples, which will set them back on the societal ladder. Kids who grow up in poor neighborhoods only have a small chance of escaping such a neighborhood. Eventually, very little of those kids will move on to those nice apartments at the waterfront. They're not likely to have dinner once a week in one of those fancy fish restaurants at the harbor. No, many of these kids are pretty likely to spend the rest of their lives in the same or similar neighborhoods that they grew up in. That means living between abandoned, burned down and collapsed houses. That is, if they manage to keep out of jail. It's the exact same life their parents live. This is a perpetual negative cycle that will get deeper and deeper if there's no intervention from the authorities. Look, I'm not telling you that the government is the ideal provider of solutions, because in many cases, governments just simply screw up everything they touch. But the free market will not improve the living conditions of the kids who grow up here, because there's no money to be made in that. The government, of course, understands that, yet it fails to offer vulnerable kids from these neighborhoods a fair chance in life. Don't you think that all kids deserve to grow up in a decent neighborhood? I think they do deserve that. But hey, who am I? I'm Dutch66, and I thank you very much for watching. If you like my content and you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, then you're more than welcome to hit that subscribe button. Thank you very much, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.